There's nothing quite like reading next to a warm fake fire in a cold Florida summer. Well, not really, but I do have some other more practical ideas about how to make your reading easier. And in particular, that is locating main ideas. So good readers depend on cues to help them understand a text. That could be context cues, or like we've already talked about, typographical cues. So for example, in our pre-reading video, we talked about some different kinds of things in a text that stand out that you can use to help you understand. Similarly, when you're reading, you can use a paragraph as a kind of organizational tool to help you comprehend what's going on. It might seem weird to say, and you probably never thought about it before, but why is it that authors group together information into paragraphs? It didn't always used to be that way. In fact, if you look at ancient Latin, you'll notice that there not only are no paragraphs, but there are no spaces between words. It becomes quite clear quite quickly why spaces are so important to help us understand and break apart information. Now, you can read this selection right here, but it takes you a great deal more effort than if there were spaces between the words. And the same is true with any kind of writing. If we didn't have spaces between paragraphs, yeah, you could read it. It just makes it a lot easier if the author has already gone through the trouble of grouping together related information. What we're doing with that is that we're separating ideas by main ideas. And I'd like to go ahead and get into how I identify main ideas in a reading. So a main idea is the most important information of a paragraph. Now, when we're reading a text, you'll notice that authors have placed their main ideas into paragraphs. Okay, so they've basically tried to help you read the text by breaking up their large essay or book or whatever into different sections. And each one of these sections has basically an idea. Okay, so anyway, my formula for a main idea is topic plus a point. Okay, and what I like to do when I'm first actually reading is to look for the topic, but you can do this in any order, and sometimes I find it easier to find the point first and then look for the topic. But generally speaking, I look for the topic first. Okay, let's take this paragraph for instance. It reads, "Dolphins have long been regarded as the planet's most intelligent species, capable of complex problem-solving, feeling, and expressing emotion, and even recognizing themselves in a mirror. Furthermore, dolphins can have conversations with their kind in ways similar to humans. For instance, researchers at the Caradog Nature Reserve in Crimea observed dolphins listening to multiple individual pulses, clicks, and whistles before responding to the communicating dolphin. This study suggests that dolphins exhibit an extraordinary level of consciousness and have a highly developed spoken language. There's also a strong possibility that dolphins can send a sonar auditory image, like a picture of a fish, to another dolphin." Okay, so what is this paragraph seem to be about? Now, our first impulse might be to say that this paragraph is about dolphins. I mean, we hear dolphins a lot in this. And yes, that's true, but that really isn't all that helpful because, well, probably every paragraph in an article about dolphins is going to be about dolphins. So that topic doesn't really help me break apart the reading into all its different pieces. Therefore, I suggest looking for the lowest common denominator. Is there a smaller topic related to dolphins that the whole paragraph seems to be about? Or stated differently, is there something else related to dolphins that just keeps coming up over and over and over again? And yes, this paragraph is not only talking about dolphins, but it's also talking about their communication skills. You know, we have the word communicating dolphin, we have highly spoken language, we have them talking about their pulses, clicks, and whistles, and conversations with their kind. So all of those point to communication skills as one of the main ideas. So I'll call dolphins communication skills as the topic. So next, that brings me on to the point of the paragraph. What would I say is the author's point or argument, or what does he want us to take away about dolphins' communication skills? And in this case, what's helpful for me is to maybe look at the beginning of the paragraph. That's often where the author makes his point or her point very clear. Not always the case, but usually you can see them in the beginning. Why does the author want me to think that, to consider dolphins' communication skills? Well, it seems to be that he really wants to make the case that dolphins are intelligent. So the point of the paragraph would be that dolphins are intelligent. So I'll put those two together, and that will be my main idea. So my main idea will be that dolphins' communication skills illustrates that they're intelligent, okay, which is the main idea of this paragraph.